Oman's airspace is open to Israeli air travel for the first time. That means shorter routes to Asia. As of today, Oman's Civil Aviation Authority said the Sultanate's airspace is open to all carriers. A Saudi air corridor for Israeli carriers has been in discussion since July, but needed approval from Omani authorities. Today, Israeli Foreign Minister Eli Cohen thanks Sultan Tariq Al Said for making it real.
The Sultan's decision is a historic move that will significantly shorten the flight time from Israel to Asia, reduce costs, and allow Israeli carriers to compete with international airlines. I want to thank our American friends who worked hard to promote this important move. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the National Security Council, the Director General, and the employees of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, who all worked together to promote this important move.
Now, for more on this, we are joined in studio by our Guy Azriel, who is going to break this issue down for us a little bit more. Guy, let's get right down to it. Airspace might be open, but we're not seeing flights from Israel to Oman itself.
No, and nonetheless, this is perhaps just as important, if not more important, for Israelis who wish to travel to the east. As you mentioned, back in July, Saudi Arabia made the announcement that Israeli carriers will be able to travel over its airspace. But if we look at the map that we prepared, geographically, that is not impossible for Israeli flights to get to the east if they don't cross over Omani skies. And until today, that was not possible, and therefore the Saudi decision didn't have enough meaning in practice. And what does it mean in practice is shortening the flight time of Israeli carriers traveling to the east. For example, a flight to Thailand that took 11 hours up until now will shorten to 8.5 hours. A flight to India will be just 5.5 hours. And an opportunity that Israelis didn't even think about until now is the possibility to fly directly to Australia. That'll be 15 hours. That's something that is totally capable. The Israeli airlines can do that, and now they're sitting down in their offices and planning the new flight routes, because this opens a whole new door of opportunities in terms of flying to the east. Now, in terms of the negotiations, Israeli officials have been engaged in extensive secret negotiations for months. We reported already back in November right here on I-24 News that the senior Israeli official has met with the Omani foreign minister, but that process was quite complicated. And some of our viewers will also remember that back in December, the Omani parliament voted on expanding the ban on Israel, and what would have been a setback to those negotiations. Eventually, that vote did not go through, did not come into law. And following these negotiations, with the involvement of the Director General of the Foreign Ministry, the National Security Agency here in Israel, and the Americans, the American envoy, eventually these negotiations bear fruit, and this is good news for the Israeli Foreign Ministry, but I think more than anything for the Israeli travelers who will now be able to travel so easily to the east.
And completely different direction now. Is there a risk, a security concern, because if you're flying over Saudi Arabia, you have Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in the area, that Israel cannot actually reach the same way they can reach proxies in Syria? Do Israeli air carriers or travelers have any concerns from possible attacks in that direction?
Look, those risks exist as much as they exist over Sinai, for example. We've seen flights that have been hit by ISIS over Sinai. I think the Israeli airlines do think very thoroughly with the security establishments about those risks, and they calculate them as they travel throughout the Middle East, really.